What's happening, everyone? Welcome to the Sportcast. It's me, Andy Grant. We've got Gary Judge from Across the Park podcast with us. First off, apologies about last week's after sub you, Gary. He had my good mate Ben in, who actually done a decent job. To be fair, had some nice things said about it. Obviously, I was away, and now I know you've been away as well. We've not got the access to the studio today, so we're on StreamYard, but there is still quite a bit to get through that I want your thoughts on. Because obviously we've had the 10-point deduction. Everton have been back in action. It wasn't the response I thought that you might get. You might disagree. We've had Liverpool, Man City going toe-to-toe. We've had Man United in the Champions League being awful again. You've got Bellingham doing Bellingham things. We've got some good news for tennis and a few other bits. So it's good to see your face again, Gary, talking about all things sport, lad.
Yeah, you too, mate. Yeah, crap, we can't be in the studio, but again, I got back. I've been away at work, to be fair, but I got back last night, and I'm just swamped today. So trying to, again, for the pair of us, trying to get into the studio, and it takes an extra 2 or 3 hours and I'm out of it. So anyway, let's get away.
Mate, what I will just say, breaking normal kind of thing and just going off on a tangent straight away. Bellingham, I mean, last week he broke Ronaldo's record, who previously broke Di Stefano's record. Bellingham comes in at 20, just smokes the pair of them, and he scores again in midweek Champions League. He is just an absolute animal. He's just not just a one-time Ballon d'Or winner in the making. He's going to be a 2, 3, 4, 5-time Ballon d'Or winner, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, if he keeps this up, and the positive thing from his interview, and I guess from English football, is he seems a very level-headed lad. Doesn't seem to have a lot of outside noise going on or outside influence. Seems to be, again, fairly normal. And look, you would suggest if there was going to be flaws in his personality and his character, that they would have came out by now, being at Real Madrid, under all that spotlight and all that pressure. But as Gareth Southgate said a few times, it just seems to relish that. Seems to just go up a level whenever there's an opportunity to step up, he takes it. He's just a remarkable player, and I guess a remarkable, personality in the way that he's handling it.
Yeah, he's amazing. I did see as well, he's wearing a new prep boots, isn't he?
What, the ones that Trent's got? Same ones?
I don't know whether they're the same ones. I'm sure it was him I seen on a picture. And they've been making moves this last week, haven't they? Trent's come out with his thing that he's now wearing them. I'm sure Bellingham had some new ones on as well. I saw a couple of photos, just took me back to being a kid and just thought, wow.
Yeah, class. We were speaking about that a few weeks ago, weren't they? But good sign for Adidas, obviously. Trent's over the weekends, and he's flying for club and country, and you've got, as you say, Bellingham just completely blowing everyone away.
Yeah. We'll bring it back to English football, to start with. So first off, we'll start with Man City, Liverpool. I was quite confident that Liverpool wouldn't get beat, and obviously they didn't. A 1-1 draw. I only actually caught the second half, so I've only seen the highlights and the whole game. Again, I just did not think we'd get beat. Happy enough with the draw, but I just don't sound ridiculous for saying this, because clearly they are an unbelievable team, but I just don't think they are the City of old, and that's why I was so confident that we wouldn't get beat. I didn't realise actually that we were the only team to take points off them this calendar year. I think we stopped them breaking a record. I'm sure it was. So maybe I was going in today with false confidence, but I don't know. I just didn't think we'd get beat. We didn't. 1-1 draw. And I think most Reds will be pretty happy with that. We've got Fulham at the weekend. City have got Spurs. I'm a bit gutted City are playing Spurs at a time when Spurs have been a bit Spursy, and they've lost the 3 on the spin. I would have liked them to have played them when they had a few more players, backfiring who are injured. But yeah, I think I'd come away from that game and it just still got the same confidence that Liverpool can go on and potentially win the league just after that game, because they didn't do nothing. I don't think that made you think, fucking hell, these are going to blow everyone away all season. Do you know what I mean?
I know, but I get what you're saying. And I think you've got reason to be optimistic and confident about it. I think the only thing I'd temper it with is what City do is they go through the gears, don't they? They very rarely hit top gear in October, November, December. I think Pep would probably prefer it that way. I think you look back this time last year, I can't remember exactly, apart from Haaland actually smashing goals in left, right, and centre. I remember us, waxing lyrical about it. But they just, got to March or got to February, March, and they just started going through the gears. I guess my only question would be, I guess, that have you got those gears to go through as well? If you have, and you'll know better than me. I mean, there's some players, I guess, Salah's scoring goals, but has he still got a bit more to find? Is Szoboszlai going to get better? Is Trent moving into midfield, possibly as the season goes on, going to have a big impact?
Yeah.
So I think there's all those things in the midfield. I think it's a bit early to be suggesting that City is, I don't know, that they're not the team that they have been.
I think someone made the great point to me this week, and he said, okay, yeah, they made the point that you made, that City don't really get going until, February, March time. And if that's the case, at the top of the league, and they've not even got going yet, I mean, that would be the worrying thing. The other bit, though, is where the Champions League starts heating up now. We'll touch on it a little bit now about, what happened this midweek. But I'd say that this season, with just the opponent-wise, City are playing the likes of, decent teams where you can't take them lightly. They still got a field, a decent squad, whereas, Liverpool are able to rotate so much. And even when we get past this group stage, I still don't think it makes that much of a difference. I mean, you might get a little bit of a better calibre of team in the Europa League, but it's still nothing on the teams they're going to be facing in the quarters and the semis. And I think that's the other bit, I think, where I fancy Liverpool to maybe capitalise and take advantage.
Get your plans. Yeah, get your plan. No, it's a fair point. I think, when some of the third place teams from the Champions League come in, I think it does change the dynamic of the competition. I think that's good. I think that's a good. I think it's good for the competition, by the way, but I do think it ramps it up a little bit. But that said, I agree with you. I still think you could probably still afford to make 6-7 changes and stuff very comfortable.
Easy.
Whereas City, in the Champions League, are probably making 3 changes at the most.
Yeah.
After that, start to look a little bit vulnerable, and maybe don't think on edges they do with the full strength 11.
Yeah, no, big time.
I think the other thing we've got to point out, I guess, which is a huge factor, Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne is not around. When does he come back? I think it's January, isn't it? That he's due back fully. You can't underestimate the importance of that.
100%, and I think that's why I've been looking at Man City's Man City this season. 100%, that's a massive thing. De Bruyne not being there. They let Mahrez go. They've been unlucky with his injuries. They've had a few other injuries as well. That is one of the reasons that's given me a bit of confidence. Purely how good has he been? I think you can always tell. I mean, it was obvious for all fans, but I always remember Van Dijk saying if Liverpool could have had one player in the last 3 or 4 years, it would have been De Bruyne. So when you've got Van Dijk, who's won Everton himself, he's played at that top elite level, and he says we need him. He says it all, doesn't it?
And that's what going back to me biggest mention of Trent. That I think that's almost a huge nod in the direction of Trent moving forward. I'm not saying he's De Bruyne, but he's got that X factor, hasn't he? He's got that ability to grab out the hat. He's got as good a right. I think it's fair to say as De Bruyne, he just doesn't get in the areas that De Bruyne gets in because he's playing in the position he's playing in. So. Yeah. Again, I'm a blue, obviously, so I'm going to have bias towards any player who plays against any player who plays for Liverpool. However, as a talent, there's no doubt in that I think he could be as good as his environment allows him to be. And I think one of those factors within that is the position and the role he plays in the team. So I think it's an interesting predicament. I think as the season goes on, I think it's been decent anyway. But I almost think Southgate has actually put the pressure on Klopp a little bit.
Yeah.
A couple of games playing him in the number 10 position, going, right, we think he's good enough. He could be our main man. You can't tell me the Trent's not going back to Liverpool now. I'm thinking, come on, boss. Give us a go in there.
I also think as well, it's been a bit of a sliding doors moment with Liverpool having an exodus in midfielders going, when Ronaldo goes, then Hendo goes, then Fabinho goes, then Milner goes. Oxlade-Chamberlain goes, and I know we've got a few players in, but it's almost there was that time where there was a little bit of a gap, and Trent's going, well, yeah, Southgate wants me to do it. Why can't I do it? And it's almost been a bit of an alignment of the stars, almost to kind of say, look, let's have a go. And thankfully, Klopp's worked a system that can work for him. And yeah, it might be potential for something, I think, going forward where we'll see more of it as his career goes on. So yeah, I was happy enough with the draw, mate. It leaves us a point behind City, 2 points behind Arsenal, sitting in third. The other result that went on this week, bringing it back to you boys, I was shocked with the 3-0. To be honest, I thought with the 10 points, in fact, we'll start on the 10 points a sec, because I know you spoke a lot on the Across the Park podcast about it. Your initial thoughts on it? Because I personally thought it was a good thing, in the sense that the cloud's gone, that big grey cloud over here is gone. The 10 points, if you're going to get deducted 10 points in any season, you'd probably say this is the season to have it done, because the bottom teams are so poor. And I thought the third reason why it was a good thing is it will galvanise the place, the fans, the players, the staff. So I potentially, I thought it was a possible kind of good timing to get it. What was your thoughts on it?
You can always put that slant on it, mate, but if you put it back to a simple, almost like a simple, like justice and criminal process thing, it'd be like a charge hanging over your head. Just giving you 10 years and going, oh, at least I've got it off my head. At least I can now rehabilitate myself. At least I can now do this. At least I can do that. You've still got 10 years. You know what I mean? So I think you've still got to then wake up the next morning and remind yourself that, all right, there are positives. But I think in the cold light of day, take 10 points off any team in the Premier League is going to put them in a difficult position against their expectations. Like losing, no, it is like losing 5 or 6 games on the bounce if you think about it, because you never expect them to pick up 3 points in every game. If someone said to you, your team's going to lose 5 or 6 games on the bounce now, it's hard to find a positive in that. However, I get what you're saying. I think the last point you made around the galvanising the fans and galvanising the club in general is definitely true. Completely agree with that. I definitely think there's an argument to say that if there's a season where we're going to lose 10 points, this isn't the worst one. But I still think it's hard to take 10 points. I really do.
I mean, I know what you're saying. You make a great point on there. You know, you still got 10 years in Nick type thing, but you did break rules. I know, forget the Man City Chelsea thing, but
how can you forget that though?
No, what I'm just saying though, like, if you take it into its own context, though, you have broken the rules. So surely you did expect some sort of punishments.
Oh yeah, and listen, I'm not sitting here saying we're innocent, and I'm not claiming we are innocent, but you're not telling me. So again, bring it back to if this was just a CPS type prosecution. If you've got an opportunity to take down, you know, a huge, you know, gangster who's controlling all the money, all the drugs and whatever in the city, or you go and pick the pockets of some someone who's in the same ring, got less of an influence, as maybe, you know, he's not the orchestrator of all types of things. What you do first? I think there's got to be a priority and an order to these things, and I'm not just saying that being a, you know, an Everton fan, and, you know, call me a hypocrite or whatever you want, but I just think there's no walk of life where the smaller fish would be prioritised here, and would be this type of charge, not without there being some kind of statement to go with it to say, look, we've dealt with Everton now. Now it's Chelsea, now it's Man City. What's going on there? Where's the clarity of their investigations? Where are they up to with that?
Do you know what's really interesting as well? I mean, you've had banter over when I've moaned about City, and you was like, well, it's just tough in it type thing. And now the shoe's on the other foot in a little way. And I just think the sad thing is, and I think I've seen it, Gary Neville talking about it on the overlap, it's become a little bit like, it's not our footballers are better than yours. It's almost like, you know, we can pay our lawyers more money so we can get better lawyers. It's becoming less about football and more about who can we just pay to have the best criminal lawyers or the best defence lawyers. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, you've got Reds fans now aggrieved by Man City because we never won the league. You've got Everton fans aggrieved at Man City because they're not getting done with the same punishments. You'll have, and it all just comes down to Man City's money, essentially, doesn't it? Why everyone's so pissed off.
Yeah, and you know what? I just think, from my point of view, the huge can of worms they've opened, not only with the points deduction, but by advocating other teams suing us. How many teams are going to be able to sue Chelsea and Man City? Because if you're talking about people suing for getting relegated, what about the teams who are going to sue for not getting in the Champions League, loss of revenue, not winning trophies, you know, losing that game that then sent out? Like, where'd you stop? Where'd you stop with that? So I just think it's, I think it's ludicrous, to be honest. I don't think the points deduction is ludicrous. Don't get that twisted. If they give us 5 or 6 points, as I probably been saying, look, let's take our medicine and move on. There's probably going to be bigger penalties than when we hand us out. But to get the biggest points deduction in the history of the Premier League, in the history of the top of English football, for being £20 million over the threshold, there's just no.
Yeah.
I can't see where the punishment fits the crime. I really can't. And if that is the case, and as a lot of people have said, what does that leave for the other people who have broke 20, 30, 40 in Man City's case, over 100 breaches? What happens?
Well, they're getting docked 1,150 points if you go on that, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? It's just ridiculous.
Exactly. You can't keep that up, can you? And even that's ridiculous. Like, what's the point in that?
I don't know why the Premier League have been so slow in doing what the Italians done to Juventus, or what the Scottish League done to Rangers, and just saying, look, you start at the bottom again.
Well, that's my, you alluded to it before around the lawyers. Let's get it straight here. We've been punished first because we've gave them all the evidence they needed. We've went, go on, there's our books, there's whatever. So we've gave them 90% of the stuff they needed to come up with this, this punishment. The reason they're not being able to get Man City and Chelsea is the lawyers are wrapping them up in red tape. Can't see this. We're not showing you that. We're not showing you this. And as you say, more than the right to go, okay, you're slowing the process up now. Until we get all the information we need, we're just going to slap you with 2 relegations. Yeah. Now come back with us with the evidence that you believe demonstrated you haven't broke the rules.
And the thing is with Man City, because they are a bit of an anomaly, as you could argue maybe Newcastle maybe as well, fines won't do nothing to them anyway. So the Premier League could turn around and say, for every week this goes on because we haven't got the information we need off you, we're going to slap you with a £5 million per week fine. They'd say, right, okay, it's found, yeah. Like, it can't be monetary. It needs to be something that's going to really hurt them. And I think unless that happens, it's just going to make the Premier League look like a farce, which I think it has done for, throughout Europe now anyway.
It is, and do you know why? The other factor behind, I believe, and again, I might be wrong here, and someone will probably pop up and say I'm wrong, but I believe the reason why they slapped the points deduction on and not give us any fine, and again, it would almost be pointless with Everton for different reasons, giving us a fine and go, get no money, can't pay it. But I think the reason they haven't gone with the fine and they've gone with the points deduction is it's their league. You can do what they want with points. They can deduct whoever they want within their rules. The minute you start talking financial fines out and affecting the business side of things, they'll get sued themselves. So no competition. We can talk whatever we want. We'll do what we want.
Yeah.
But if you start fining people and giving them money, it's down to monetary and affecting people's commercial interest and business and whatever, then I think they're probably ready to the litigation to the way. And again, that's the big factor. They're more scared of City than City are of the Premier League.
Oh, 100%, yeah. And you know what? I think whether it was me or you spoke about it a couple of weeks back, and it was like, you think when a club gets relegated, the surrounding area, the community that gets affected, you know what I mean? It's not just affecting FC footballers, this is affecting whole cities and communities where a team's dropped down. Might be just from the Prem, and it might not even affect that. They might just drop down again and again, and within a few years, the local chippies, the pubs, everything like that, local businesses are getting massively affected, all because of the Premier League's inaction to do what's right, essentially.
Yeah, and obviously it's ironic that the major factor as the Premier League employed behind our points deduction was the fact that we miscommunicated where the finances were coming from for aspects of the stadium. The fact that the club / Machinery put the money in, and it wasn't a loan, then that's what they said was the big thing that tipped us over. So the ironic thing is that stadium, like it or not, or whatever you think about it, is probably going to be in the top 10 stadiums in the world, Europe, whatever. It's already been selected as one of the stadiums for the European Championships and all that. It's another huge asset for the Premier League. Here's another top world-class stadium. There's been a portfolio. At the same time, he's offering us 10 points for the stadium in the way that he wants us to.
You made a great point there, mate, because, you know, next season when it's, you know, Super Sunday and they've got the fucking drones out and it's over the Mersey and it's looking at the new Goodison and it's all that, they be, do you know what I mean? They be singing from the rooftops, look at how great our league is, look at the stadiums we've got. Yet at the same time, they don't mind, you know, throwing you fines and giving you 10-point deductions. It's a farce, mate. And, you know, I get exactly why every Evertonian is fuming with the Premier League.
Just to obviously touching on the game and stuff, because I know you comments on the start, you know, that you may be slightly underwhelmed. The main thing I'll say is, one, it was never a 3-0. Two, it probably could have been 4-3 or 5-3. It was, I think United played very well. For me, and I know it's a bit of a cliche, and maybe it's easy to say this, I think it was one of those days, you know, I honestly do. When Garnacho scores the goal, he's after 2 minutes, like, wow.
I was going to say that. I think that if there's a goal to knock the stuffing out of you, that was it, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think the second goal, the penalty, which again, look, probably is a penalty. But if the referee sees it, doesn't believe it's a penalty, then VAR has to look at it for so long, and then the referee's looking at it for for a minute or two on that screen. There's too much doubt there for me. That's just not. Again, I'm not going to moan again about VAR, because I just, if VAR would have said it's a penalty, bang, that's it, give it a penalty, done. Why making the ref? I hate this whole thing now. You know, the referee goes and jogs over there. If the referee didn't see it in the first place properly, and he's booked Martial, VAR just need to say it's not a dive, it was a foul, and the ref goes sound penalty.
But, you know, on the Garnacho thing, on the goal, for a second before I go into the match a bit further, just before I forget, what did you make of his celebration?
What would he just like shocked to me, or like?
No, he done Ronaldo's thing, didn't he?
I didn't see, to be honest, I didn't really see it. I was watching it. Didn't really pay attention to the celebration.
Vidal's come out and like had a go at Garnacho and was like, why are you doing someone else's celebration? Do you know what I mean? And to be honest, I'm a little bit like that. It's like, listen, I know Ronaldo is one of the greatest ever, but if I've just scored that goal, like, I'm making it my own. Do you know what I mean? And I was a bit like, why are you trying to imitate someone else? Do you know what I mean? He's just scored one of probably the goal of the season, and he's just copied Ronaldo's celebration. I just thought that was a bit, come on, lad.
I don't know. To be honest, don't really know it. I guess he was arguing, look, it was out of respect for Ronaldo. It might have been his hero growing up, and maybe he'll say that, look, all those hours of practice volleys and overhead kicks was because he used to watch. I don't know, but
he's turned around Vidal and he said, terrific goal. The only bad thing, or what I didn't understand, is why he celebrates as Cristiano. I don't understand why he doesn't celebrate and make a name for himself. It's good that he has an idol, but he has to make his name. He's already a big player. I respect that he is his idol, but he has to make his name, or else he'll always remain in the shadows. Celebrate in your own way. But it was a great goal. I kind of agree with Vidal on that, to be fair.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Do you reckon it was better than Rooney's?
I don't
either.
I mean, I have watched Rooney's back a few times since, and it's a packed penalty area. He's in the middle of the box. The ball's coming over with a bit more pace. He's had to actually not redirect the overhead kick, but, like, again, if someone says to me, put that ball up for an overhead kick, I'd almost ask for the ball at the exact flight that Dallo puts it in the area. That's exactly how I'd want that ball. I'd want to put it up in the air, slow so I can look at it. I want to be able to hit it back the way it's done. Listen, I'll never in my dream score an overhead kick like that. But I was going to attempt it. That's exactly how I'd want to attempt it.
I think as well, the opposition, Man City, a lot, no disrespect to Everton, a lot better opposition.
It's a Manchester derby.
Manchester derby. Both teams are going for the league. It wins them the game. I think all those factors added in, I still say, although it was an unbelievable goal, I'd still say Rooney's is better, personally.
I just think on a technical level, people say it's further out, but I think if you catch a ball like that, it doesn't matter how far or close out you are, within reason. If you're anywhere within 20 to 25 yards, if you catch a ball that well, it doesn't matter how close or far away you are, it's still a very, very difficult skill to use. I just think, again, if you're trying to set someone up or you want someone to set you up for an overhead kick, that's the exact flight of the ball you want. I think Rooney's one was pace on that ball. Like I think, yeah, anyway. That's
bit easier, a bit harder for Rooney as well. The fact that Joe Hart got longer arms than Pickford as well. So just for that alone. But I'll be honest, mate, I've only seen the highlights as well. But I spoke to my good mate Harry, who's Big Blue, and he was just like said the same as you. You know, we could have scored 4 or 5. Is there a concern? Because I want to actually backtrack it slightly here. I said before, if there was a season to lose out on a few points, it'd be this season.
You got Luton to pick up a point now.
Well,
I thought Fulham were going to be the ones we pull in, but Fulham got a result the other night.
Well, that's what I mean. I thought, again, I was a bit gutted for the Blues because of everything we've just discussed, but I thought, you know what, they'd be absolutely fine. And then I looked down at the bottom of the league. Luton have got, Luton were, pretty much losing every week, weren't they? In the last 5, they've only lost 2 now, 1-1, drew 2. You've got Sheffield United out of the last 5 have picked up a win and a draw. All right, fair enough. Burnley is still, not picking up any points, but, those 2 teams, even though it's only, 1 win and a couple of draws in the last 5, you got Bournemouth who've picked up now 3 wins in the last 5. Added to the fact, I've looked at your fixtures, and apart from you got Forest away, which would be tough, 5:30 on a Saturday night, you've then got Newcastle, Chelsea, next 2 games after that. So there's potentially your next 3 games there. I don't know what you fancy. I'll ask you for your predictions in a minute against Forest, but there's 3 tough games there, isn't there? And I've gone from thinking Everton will be completely fine to looking at your fixtures thinking it's quite hard. That then you go into December, you've got Spurs, then City. I don't know. There doesn't seem to be any easy games anymore, I don't think.
No, I agree. And I think the point you made at the start in terms of the clubs that were down there and stuff, and it's sod law, isn't it? Like, again, a few weeks ago, wasn't really I wouldn't say it didn't matter to us, but we'd probably just been kind of glancing over our shoulders thinking, okay, we'll be all right. But no, we'll be right in the thick of it. And you know what? I said at the time, I know everyone was saying, like, we'll get out of it, we'll be fine. I was saying, talking about our fans and our club being galvanised, every one of those clubs that were down there would have been like, it's right, we're now in it now. We've now got a real chance.
I didn't think of that, Didn't think of that. What a pep talk that is for everyone going, look, come on. They're back in it now. Come on, let's get a win here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're never going to get a chance like this to stay in the Premier League again. Given that everyone talks now about the gulf between the Championship and Premier League getting bigger and bigger, and how hard it is for those promoted teams to just stay in the league for more than the season. And if you do stay in it for more than the season, you've got a really good chance of being like that Stoke that stays in the league for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, or runs on it for a bit.
Yeah.
So, I think it's, staying in the league more than the season in the Premier League is really tough. And I think that points deduction has given all of them a real boost of going, look, we're never going to have a better chance than this. We need to roll our sleeves up. And, for the likes of some of them Luton players, one season in the Premier League, look, it's a huge deal. You get a bit more money, blah, blah, blah. But if you're batting that Championship within a season, it's life-changing that. You stay in the Premier League for 2 years, you're almost considered it like an established Premier League player then. Another Premier League team will probably buy it and stuff like that. So it's a huge, huge deal to your whole life. So
what's interesting as well, mate, on that, and I know me and you on a personal level talk a lot about like purpose and stuff, and on the live cast with Paul on Sunday we always talk about it. But for some of these players, for example, like Everton, and I'm not for a minute doubting the desire, but for a lot of Everton players or a lot of the maybe established Premier League teams, their kind of why or their purpose or their their thing is, we're already established players. If Everton get relegated, we can move on. Whereas I think the why and the purpose for some of these Luton players will be, we need to get established here. And I don't know whether that creates a bit more of a drive, but it's going to be a bit more like, rather than a one-hit wonder where we get one go at, being at the big time and making the financial gains you can in the Premier League. It just gives you a different why, different desire, a different determination. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely, completely agree. And so I think for all of the positives you're putting on the situation, I think the biggest factor behind there is the boost it gave some of them teams at the bottom. And when you lose a game like we did against United the weekend, it probably dawns on some of the Everton players, wow, this is a bigger job than we maybe thought here, and not just going to be a case of us just carrying on how we did before, because the the barriers now in front of us are a lot bigger than they were before.
Do you know what? I'm going to backtrack completely on my point and agree with you. You're fucked. You're going down. I mean, looking forward to the weekend then. I'm still waiting for Arsenal to slip up a bit more. They've got Wolves at the weekend. I expect them to obviously get 3 points there. You've got Brentford, Luton. I think hopefully Brentford will do a job for you, although they've not been firing, they've not been fantastic, have they? Burnley, Sheffield United's going to be the interesting one. Really interesting. And then usually away at Forest. What do you think of that?
It's a huge game. And I remember the last time we played Forest in this situation, it was when Dyche first come in. And I remember calling it like a must not lose game. And I think it comes in, most games now when you've had that deduction and stuff, you're thinking we need to win. I just think more than anything else, we need to pick a point up. We need to get something from the game. I think Forest definitely fall into the category of the team that could easily be sucked in. I think they'll look at their home form as being the biggest chance for them to pull away. And if we can deny them getting 3 points and just start moving forward with a bit of trajectory in terms of, okay, we've got another point on the board, moving up again. Not positionally, but at least in the points tally. It's definitely a game I don't think we can afford to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I'd always remember going to Forest a couple of years ago, watching Liverpool, and it was really tough. I think Liverpool actually got beat when I went. I can't see us winning. I think a draw would be best for us there, I'll be honest. Liverpool...
Well, mate, we've got very, very good away form. Not even comparable to most teams, to be fair.
Yeah,
we've got very strong away form. So I do fancy us to get something from the game, and I certainly wouldn't be surprised to see us go away with 3 points. And I don't think I'm right in the camp that you're in to say you can't see us winning. I think we beat better teams away from home this season than Forest. I just think, I think the jeopardy is a factor. How those players handle that now. I would be tempted, and I think the manager's always said this, or he almost said this, to write that United game off a little bit and go, look, it was been a tough week for the club.
Yeah.
That goal from Garnacho, was not taking our chances. Not like we got steamrolled by United, didn't get a kick. And, they picked us apart in their 3 goals. They got a penalty, a Walesy, and then a pretty decent goal when we were chasing the game at the end.
Yeah. I think it'll be a really interesting game, Chelsea-Brighton. I think that's 2 teams who've got definitely potential to play really well, but, it's stop-start, haven't they? I think the pair of them. Like, one team as well, by the way, how good have Aston Villa been?
Hey, Mike, I was just trying to find our prediction of the league table. For my surprise package, I think I predicted they'd finish 5th.
Absolutely flying. I mean, I think we said it, or I think you might have said a few weeks back, Spurs have got a few injuries now, and it'd be interesting to see how they react. But I think that Villa game last week, I mean, it was they're just brilliant, aren't they? What a man. I mean, it won't be... The big thing I think about Villa is how long will he stay in that job for? Because if he gets a good Europa League run and he finishes maybe top 5, I mean, I fancy Spurs to finish in the Champions League spots, but if Villa keep on playing the way they are, honestly, I don't know.
I think there's 2 things really. First, on the manager, I'd like to think, for the sake of Villa fans and Villa as a club, he's probably realised that the grass isn't always greener at these guaranteed Champions League, and tight chasing clubs. You went to Arsenal and he had the torrid sign in there by all accounts in terms of they weren't having him from day one. He was, he wasn't allowed, he wasn't given the time to shape his own team. The expectations were too high. I'd like to think, and again, for the sake of Villa fans, they're a decent club, Villa. And again, I think they've had a tough time, the fans, over the last certainly 20, 30 years, where they were, they've won a top side back in the day and they've been starved of proper success for a long time. I'd like to think that I really think this is a club that I can achieve all my own ambitions with if I can stay here for 3, 4, 5 years. I think managers do that. You take a club like Villa and maybe bring them, get them up to your 2nd, 3rds, take them to the titles. I think that's proper legacy stuff. That I think if you're a manager, club to club, he's already proven that European, on the European stage, the best out. If he can prove that now domestically, I think you can put him up there in the top echelons of managers.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree with anything there. Yeah, Liverpool on the Sunday at home to Fulham. I think I'd love that to just be a walk on the... Say again?
I said Marco Silva coming to Anfield. Stag do.
Either. I'm hoping they can have one of those games that's a real confidence booster. Do you know what I mean? They just put 3 or 4 past them. It's a bit of it's an early kick off 2 o'clock, and just send everyone on the way 4 o'clock in the boozers. Back home to your Sunday roast, just a comfortable 4 or 5-0, which I'm hoping for. Yeah, I'd be shocked if we're sitting here next week.
Yeah, no doubt whatsoever that the Fulham won't turn up.
Yeah, I hope so. And then the R4 game is Man City Tottenham. Be something decent to watch over a pint or your Sunday roast. I think that'll be it'll be a Man City win, but I don't know. You never know. Tottenham could surprise us. Maybe we'll just jump back to the Champions League this week then. So, Man United, their torrid time continues. Seeing reports already this morning that they're looking at getting Ancelotti in. Don't know what it'd bring him back to the Northwest after last time, but you don't know, do you? Because he's what a manager. He's done great use for the time he was there.
He's a fixer, and I think with Ancelotti, and he proved this throughout his career, he can work with whatever you give him, and he'll get a tune out of whatever you give him. He doesn't need huge investments, doesn't need big names. He'll create a system. He hasn't got the most. At times, it isn't always the most destructive way of doing it, but he'll just put the pieces together in the way that he thinks, will get results. It certainly wouldn't be the worst move in the world, but I still think it's a very short-term fix. United have been going on, and the fans have been going on about having this. Let's be patient with the manager. Let's look back at what Alex Ferguson done years ago. He needed 3 or 4 seasons. You're not going to get 3 or 4 seasons from Ancelotti for a number of reasons. I think you'll make signings that'll probably get you to a position. It's probably a slightly more palatable Mourinho. Do you know what I mean? He's a bit more of a personality in different ways, a bit more charming, and I think he probably plays a slightly more attractive brand of football than Mourinho does. But make no mistake, I think what Ancelotti will do, he'll get you something. He'll probably help you achieve.
Yeah. I just think, though, when I said to Ben last week, and I'd say to any United fan, I think United fans just need to get over the fact that they once dominated English football for 20 years. Unfortunately, things change, and United fans need to realise that that dominance will never happen for them again. And it's just one of those things. It's just not going to happen. So this constantly, they're doing what Liverpool done for 30 years. Do you know what I mean? Just living in the past. And I think times have changed now, and it's going to take a lot more than just one manager to come in and change it. And I don't think it's happening anytime soon. As we could see with the Champions League this week, that goalie, Onana, what is going on with him? I'm trying to think of a goalie in the Prem. Liverpool have had some horrendous ones over the years, but I'm trying to think of a keeper who's just had more of a shocker than him in his first season. Remember David James, Liverpool? David James was horrendous coming for corners. I used to always think, what the fuck is he doing coming for the corner? I think every United fan's just thinking, every time the opponent has a shot, they're probably thinking, God, what's going to happen? Because it's getting that bad with him. He's just I don't know whether he'll move on in the summer or whether they're going to stick with him, but it's... I can't get me as well.
The last time I can remember, and he hasn't had the probably huge blunders that this guy had, but he was remember Massimo Taibbi?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. He was shambolic. Remember the one where the ball's coming towards him and he goes down his knees and it bounces over his shoulder?
Yeah. I done one where he actually catches it as well. It goes to his legs. I tell you what, though, I remember Bartes actually was a bit...
He was more... He was just a bit mad, wasn't he? And you know what? It never stopped that. And it's not a bad comparison, to be fair, because he's just different, isn't he? He's a bit unorthodox. And he just fly off his line every now and again. You think, where are you going there? And some would argue that, look, he's a yard off it in terms of the pace. And, you go from the Dutch league to the Italian league, 2 leagues that are very passive compared to the Premier League. 2 leagues where you probably get a lot of space to operate. in terms of as a keeper, and no one really kind of ventures onto your patch in a team and then to a league where it's 100 miles an hour. And that's the other thing with the Dutch league and the Italian league. All teams play a very similar way. You almost know what's coming next. You can read you can read the book before, they're on to the next page. Premier League's a lot more unpredictable. You're coming up against different attacks every week, different personnel, strikers who run in behind, strikers who come in classier. It's a little bit overwhelming, isn't it?
Yeah, but what I will say, there's one set of fans that can say that you need a decent keeper. It's Liverpool fans. We waited 30 years. The second we got a world-class goalie, we go and win everything. I think they need to sort that out before they're going to get any type of success on the pitch, because, you need a top-class goalie.
Do you know as well? Again, this might be being a bit harsh and, you scapegoat them a little bit, though. I think to a certain extent it's on the manager as well. You're not telling me, regardless of the way your goalie operates, the manager's not telling them to play in a certain way and to do certain things on the ball. I think the manager...
No, Gary, some of them are just shot them.
Yeah. No, but at Goodison at the weekend, for example, he kicked like 3 or 4 balls out of play. And it was like he had to do that because the ball kept on playing back to him and playing back to him and playing back to him. And in the end, it was like he had no angles, he had no options, just had to kick it out. And it was like, he's making you look awful.
Yeah. Maybe.
He is a bit of a clown, like, don't get me wrong. I think but part of me thinks that he's been involved in the game more than he's used to being involved in it. Do you know what I mean? When you play for a team like Inter, like Ajax, you probably, you're playing out, no problem. But you're not under pressure that he's been under for Man United. The amount of shots they're facing.
Yeah, I was going to say that because, I'm waxing lyrical about Alisson here, and don't get me wrong, but he doesn't touch the ball half as much as Onana does he?
No, Onana's constantly on the ball, and that affects your concentration. Like, if you've been accustomed to, all right, maybe having 50, 60 touches a game, but only from a goal kick, or under relatively little pressure. You've got every team coming to Old Trafford at the moment because they see a wounded animal, and they're closing them down, they're pressing them at numbers, and he's like, wow, what's going on here? And then when they lose the ball, he's facing like 12, 13, 14 shots a game. This maybe 3 or 4 at Ajax, maybe 5 or 6 at Inter.
I will put you up on that one. Did you see the thing? It might have been the week before last, where the Arsenal keeper Ramsdale come out and said, I can only concentrate for like 5 minutes at a time or something like that. I mean, if there was something not to say when you've just been dropped, that was probably it, wasn't it?
That was a mad thing to say. That, like, it was bizarre.
You've just had your manager sign, a direct replacement for you, and you say, well, I can only concentrate that, a couple of minutes at a time. I'm sure Arteta's sitting there going, well, I've just been justified in buying another goalie then, haven't I? Because you're fucking an idiot.
And all the clips have started coming out, haven't they, where he's like that, looking around and stuff. And like, what are you doing? Like, and it's like, oh, he's lost his concentration. What's going on over there?
Yeah. That's yeah, mate, away from, we'll leave football there for a minute. One thing I did see as well, which Arts Just the Producer Musk put in, which I thought was brilliant, was players or footballers, the 2 examples I'm going to give, who have went into other sports. Remember there was that rumour a while ago about Harry Kane going to the NFL and just coming in to be a kicker? Well, you've got Ben Arthur, who used to play for Newcastle, if anyone remembers. He's just made it into the top 1,500 paddle players in the world. I was in Marbella last week and actually had a game of paddle for the first time. Brilliant sport. I'm not actually sure where the closest one in Liverpool is. I know there's a couple over in Cheshire, but in Wales.
In Liverpool, yeah. I think Muskie was saying, wasn't it? There's going to be one opening in the South End.
We'll have to start getting down to that then, make a little leg at league or something, mate, because I absolutely loved it. I mean, there's only 3 of us. My mate Ben plays all the time, and he played against me and Paul, so it was 2 against 1, and we still got beat like 6-1, 6-2, 6-1, 6-2, I think it was. But brilliant sport, and Ben Arthur's obviously hung up his boots and took the paddle and is absolutely flying with it. So you've got him, and then you've also got Peter Cech, who's played his first ice hockey game. I think it was this week as well. So I'll be honest, my first thoughts are just really...
Killed playing footy. Now he's going to play ice hockey, the lunatic.
I just think it just straight away just makes me very, very envious and jealous that there are people out there who can not only...
that level of attitude.
Yeah, and just that natural ability to take to a couple of different sports, not, being ones that footballer, you know, every kid's dream, and then you can go, you know what, I've had enough of that. Now I'll go and play, you know, they all seem to be great at table tennis or, you know,
Well,
in this
let's
case.
not get it twisted here. They got a hell of a lot of time on their hands as well. Training like 2 or 3 hours every morning, and then you got the rest of the day. For people who are actually quite productive at the time, like chefs and maybe Ben Arthur and
Gareth
some,
Bale.
yeah, exactly. You can achieve a hell of a lot in your football career as well as being a class player if you use your time well.
Yeah, of course, yeah, but I still think there's some serious, whether it's natural ability or whether it's just making good use of your time, seriously impressive to get, you know, to those levels. So fair play to them all.
We've all got people we know like that, haven't we? Literally, as soon as they pick something up, they just boss at it. I'm consider myself to be a decent sportsman, but yeah, there's some people I know where literally pick a golf club and they say ping. And you're like, what was that?
Fucking hate that, you know. Fucking hate it.
You work so hard as well to try and be good at stuff, and then someone just wipes the floor with you who's hardly ever plays.
It's horrible. On other sports, great tennis related, paddle related is tennis. I've seen actual exciting news, really, not so much about tennis players, but Sky have just signed a massive new deal with tennis, which basically means there's just going to be more tennis tournaments available. And it's the idea behind it is to get, you know, British fans a bit more involved. I know me and you like the big tournaments.
That's huge. That, you know, it's huge. Like, who watches Eurosport? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, it's a proper corporate of a channel, and you know, production, the build up to the games is awful, really sterile, isn't it? And I think that's huge for tennis.
Mate, the amount of times, and I'm only sometimes because I follow a few players on Twitter or Instagram, and I know there's a big tournament coming up because it's the players' profiles who are saying, like, you know, getting ready for Wimbledon or getting ready for, you know, the New York. Because I don't know the times of the year they're on. So the fact that now Sky, the promotion will get behind it, I think it will get a lot more people into tennis, knowing that these big tournaments are playing and stuff. And yeah, I think only a good thing for tennis, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it will. I mean, we know, you know, Wimbledon's on without knowing Wimbledon's on. Just by driving past the court, you know, the parks and seeing all the kids and adults on the tennis courts.
Yeah.
That's what you can see, yeah. No, I agree. I think, you know, there's a lot of indoor tennis courts, you know, across the country. David Lloyd gyms predominantly have, like, you know, at least 5 or 6, if not more, and it'd be great to see more kids playing tennis.
Mate, we've got in boxing, bit of news coming out that the British Board of Control have rejected an application for Conor Benn to fight Eubank. The lifting of the Benn's provisional suspension is being appealed, but speculation has been mounting that he could fight on the 3rd of Feb. So that's just that circuit's just rumbling on, isn't it?
Yeah.
There was talk, obviously, at the fight before Christmas. That's obviously definitely not going to happen. But, you know, you just see, like, breaking news or, you know, added news to all this. It's all just the fucking same garbage, isn't it, really? Just the same shite getting spouted out in a slightly different way, or it's just fucking shit for the sport, to be honest.
No, it's crap, and again, it takes the limelight, as I always delete. So there's offensive decent boxers. It takes the limelight off these decent boxers. You know, you had the Casey Taylor fight last week, which was incredible. You know, the great for boxing because on women's boxing, you know, Cameron again, Chantal Cameron, you know, conducts herself really well. It was a top fight, and everyone's waxing lyrical about it. And then we're back to talking about Brooke Sheet again. You know what? I almost wish they just wouldn't give it any airtime anymore. Just leave it alone until you've got something positive to say about it.
Yeah, no, I know, mate. Totally agree. And I suppose that they've got that coming in December. They've got that huge fight, haven't they? The night of boxing club in a few weeks. I'm sure we can get excited about that. But I just think in general, I think that's probably why it pisses me off so much about boxing is because you don't get the general day-to-day football chat like, you know, we do in some sports. When you do get boxing news, it's only maybe every other week, every couple of weeks and stuff. And just when it comes, it always seems to be negative. I think that's the kind of difference, I guess, isn't it?
That's it.
Do you know one sport thing as well, mate, which not really to touch on apart from, you know, it was the F1, and obviously Max has smashed it. That's one sport I think that needs a new rivalry because you had that season or two when it was, you know, it was Max and Lewis. But I mean, now Max there's finishing on 575 points, Perez in second, 285. That needs a bit of, you know, injection, doesn't it? Of like a bit of a characters in there, and a bit of rivalry.
I've lost a bit of interest, to be honest. So I haven't watched the Grand Prix for a while for that reason.
Yeah.
I watched a little bit. I think I watched one of the first few in the summer, and then since he started pulling away, and you know, you seen him at times being like maybe 4th or 5th on the grid, and then he still ends up winning it by like 15, 20 seconds. It's like it's not enjoyable. That.
I guess that's what, you know, I am looking, you know, a lot further down the line. I guess that's what the worry is, though, with the Premier League and Man City, isn't it? If you just let these people get away with stuff for so long, what's the point in watching it anymore? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah, exactly. And if you suspect that, given, you know, obviously the other rules, clubs from loaning other players from within that got blocked, obviously paves the way for Newcastle to start signing players on loan at will from Saudi, which, look, that's going to be really interesting to keep an eye on in January, isn't it?
And the other one was the shared sponsors, because that's essentially a way for clubs to basically get round financial fair play, to just sports wash and say, yeah, you know, we own bloody Emirates Airways or whatever, blah, blah, blah. They're on the shares. Who knows how much they're going to give them then? Do you know what I mean? It's all just... Well,
yeah, there's got to be some another competitive bid that's in the vicinity of what we've been offered. Yeah. Someone offers you like 100 million and it's a legitimate external, you know, business. Someone else can offer you 110 and that's fine. But if the closest bid is like half of what you've been given, then that's a bit like, that's not.
No, it's a joke. I mean, what I will finish on, something a bit more positive than fucking sports washing and money laundering, is Ronnie O'Sullivan. He's getting back in action this week. I think the World Championship might have even started, I think, now. He is just... Have you seen his documentary?
Yeah. I haven't seen it. I seen it advertised last night. I'm going to watch it later on, I think. Yeah,
so I think I'm just trying to get the dates up quick of the when it starts.
It's on now, isn't it?
Is it started now, is it?
It was on. It was advertised on Netflix last night. It came up on the home screen, so I'm assuming. Yeah.
So it's no, as in when the
oh, sorry, no championships.
Yeah.
Yeah, one sec. I think it's that.
Yeah, I think it started now. Yeah. Yeah, he's in the last 16, so he's facing John Higgins. I think it's today. It might be. Hopefully, he's still in it by the time this goes live. But my point is really just about him in person, like just what a man he is, and it almost makes me think. You know, you look at certain players or certain sportsmen or women, and you think, I'd love to be like them. And I think when you watch that documentary and you hear him speak, you know, you think, would I really love to be like him? You know, because I think with that level of genius and that level of talent, there's another side to it that a lot of us maybe don't see. And I think watching that documentary, it made me think like, wow. But also, I don't know whether I'd quite want to live with that type of talent, because there's so many demons that comes along with it. You know what I mean?
No, you mean, yeah.
It's like the old Spider-Man shout, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. I feel like it brought me back to that, because you think, what a talent, but, you know, at times, what a troubled individual. He's had to work so hard on himself to be able to live with that kind of level of genius, and also without going a bit mad as well. Someone who's massively struggled.
Yeah, you know, it's a good point, and it doesn't just come with talent, does it? Sometimes people are, if you call it gifted, have got this ridiculous like mentality around never giving up and never being able to, you know, ultimate competitor, if you like. And with that, it means you can never put it down. Do you know what I mean? You can't just switch that off like that. You know, whether it's doing the dishes or going on the school run or whatever, you like that all the time. You're like, nothing's ever good enough.
No.
And I think that's like, I mean, I know you watch and read a lot of like David Goggins and that as well, but in Goggins' his second book, he basically talks about this endurance event. And I think there's a second book. Talks about this endurance event in Newton, where he effectively gets like taken to hospital and like his lungs gets an injection and his lungs get, you know, treated and all that. And he's lying in bed with his wife, and he says a voice in the air comes up saying, and it says, "You're not finished." And he has to get out of bed, wake his wife up, team up, get them to drive him back to the top of this mountain and finish this race. And he's half dead.
It's mad, isn't it?
How to live with that?
I've heard Jamie Carragher speak about it too and stuff like, you know, the torment he'd have. So you think, you know, everyone would love to be, you know, from Bootle playing for Liverpool. Wow, what a thing. But then, you know, when they get beat, I think it's probably the worst place in the world you'd rather be than, you know, in his head, because he's just like can't go out and he's killing himself, he's beating himself up, and you think, I'll never experience those highs that he's had, but I don't think I'll experience the kind of pressures and the lows that he's probably had either, do you know what I mean?
He also said, didn't he, never enjoyed one game of football. Didn't enjoy one professional game he ever played because he was just like, he put so much pressure on himself. Yeah. And he was just so nervous. He just didn't want to make a mistake, just wanted to get through it.
Like, sure he enjoyed his pay packet at the end of the week, like.
I'm sure that was nice, yeah. I'm sure he got the summer wasn't bad.
Yeah. But no, yeah, if anyone hasn't seen it, go and watch it. Ronnie on the Edge, I think it's called, or Close to the Edge. It's unbelievable and yeah, really good for anyone who just loves sport in general. I think just to get inside that kind of mindset.
Yes.
Anything else for you, Gary, to finish on?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, I come on, started this show being very complimentary that, you know, Everton's galvanised fans and fucked the Premier League, he's all be fine. And then after a little pep talk from you, I think, you know, wow, he's
a dose of Everton negativity.
Everton reality negativity, and I've got you doing for the drop now.
You talk about Ronnie O'Sullivan, you wouldn't want to live in an Evertonian's head. Imagine having to deal with this all the time.
You know what, you're right, I wouldn't, mate. I'm grateful that I'm in head. Gary, mate, pleasure as always, and I'll see you in the studio next week.
So, man.
Cheers, boys. Nice one.